The village doctor arrived just before sunrise. He examined little Tara for nearly 20 minutes. No wounds, no snake bite, no sign of poisoning. Her heartbeat had simply stopped. The doctor stood silently before finally saying, "I've never seen anything like this." Harry Ram refused to believe it. Only yesterday she had been laughing, running through the wheat fields, asking her father to carry her home. Now, the smallest room in the house was filled with grieving neighbours. The funeral was quiet, too quiet. Even the children didn't cry loudly. They stared at the tiny wooden coffin as though they expected Tara to sit up and complain that everyone was making too much noise. Gowrie never left Harry Ram's side. She held his hand through the entire ceremony. Yet one old woman from the village couldn't stop watching her. That evening, she whispered to another villager, "Did you notice?" "What?" "The new wife. What about her? She never cried." Over the following weeks, rumours spread faster than wildfire. Some believed the family was cursed. Others blamed contaminated water. A few claimed evil spirits had entered the house after Mira's death. Harry Ram ignored them all. He buried himself in work. He refused to believe ghosts existed. But strange things continued happening. Milk spoiled overnight. Oil lamps extinguished themselves. Dogs refused to enter the courtyard after sunset. One evening, the family cow broke free from its rope. It ran nearly 2 miles before villagers caught it. When they brought it back, the animal refused to cross the front gate. No amount of pulling could force it inside. The oldest son, Arjun, frowned. Animals don't act like that for no reason. Harry Ram snapped. "We've had enough fear in this house." But deep inside, he had begun asking himself the same question. 3 nights later, Harry Ram dreamed of Mira again. This time, she wasn't standing alone. She stood beside the great banyan tree. Behind her, countless hands reached from the darkness, not touching her, only waiting. She spoke more clearly than ever before. "She cannot cross without permission." Harry Ram shouted, "Who?" Mira raised a trembling finger, pointing toward his own house. Then everything dissolved into darkness. He woke, drenched in sweat. The room was freezing. His breath floated in the air. The lantern beside the bed had gone out. Across the room, Gowrie stood perfectly still, looking through the window. Her back faced him. She hadn't moved. "You're awake?" Harry Ram asked. Without turning around, she answered softly, "I thought I heard someone calling." "Who?" "I don't know." She slowly returned to bed. Within moments, she appeared asleep again. Harry Ram remained awake until dawn. Something about the way she had spoken felt empty, as though the words had come from someone else. Unable to silence his growing fear, Harry Ram travelled to a monastery several villages away. There lived an elderly monk named Anand. People sought him whenever reason failed. Harry Ram expected prayers. Instead, the monk asked strange questions. "When did the dreams begin? Before or after your second marriage?" Harry Ram froze. "Before." "Did you ever meet your wife in daylight before the wedding?" "Yes." "Did she ever cast a shadow?" Harry Ram stared silently. He remembered that afternoon outside the hut, the sunlight, the missing shadow. The monk noticed his expression. "You remembered something?" Harry Ram nodded slowly. "I thought I imagined it." The monk sighed. "Sometimes our minds notice danger before our hearts accept it." He handed Harry Ram a small thread woven with copper. "Tie this above the front door." "Will it protect us?" "No." "Then what will it do?" "It will tell you whether your fear is real." Harry Ram tied the thread above the doorway. Nothing happened. Days passed peacefully. Perhaps he had worried for nothing. Then came the full moon. The entire village slept beneath silver light. At exactly 3 a.m, a loud crack echoed through the house. Harry Ram sat upright. The copper thread had snapped in half. A freezing wind rushed through every room. The children began crying simultaneously, not one after another, all at once. Hariram grabbed the lantern. The hallway stretched ahead, unnaturally dark. He hurried toward the children's room. Halfway there, he heard whispering. Not one voice, dozens, speaking too softly to understand. As he approached the doorway, the whispers stopped. The room became silent. Every child appeared asleep, except Arjun. His eyes were open, wide, terrified. He whispered, "Father, what happened?" "She was standing here." "Who?" Arjun slowly pointed toward the ceiling. "She wasn't walking. She was crawling." Hariram lifted the lantern. Nothing. Only old wooden beams. Yet, fresh scratches marked the ceiling. Long, deep, parallel scratches, as though something with enormous claws had dragged itself across the wood. The following afternoon, Hariram searched every corner of the house. He wasn't looking for ghosts, he was looking for answers. While moving an old grain cabinet, he noticed loose floorboards. Beneath them, a narrow staircase descended into darkness. He had lived here for nearly 20 years. He had never seen it. Lantern in hand, he climbed down. The air smelled damp, ancient. The underground room was small, barely large enough to stand. Inside lay old clay pots, broken idols, bundles of dried herbs, and a faded cloth bundle tied with black thread. Hariram hesitated, then opened it. Inside rested dozens of brittle pages, covered in handwritten symbols. Alongside them, he found a small wooden pendant. The same strange symbol carved into it matched the one engraved on the copper thread the monk had given him. As he reached for it, a voice echoed behind him. "You should never have opened that." Hariram spun around. No one. The staircase remained empty. Yet, the lantern flame suddenly turned blue. Then, every candle in the underground room ignited by themselves. In the dancing light, writing appeared across the stone wall. Writing that hadn't been visible before. It contained only one sentence. She entered because someone invited her. Hariram's heartbeat thundered in his ears, because only 3 people had ever crossed the threshold after Mira's death. Himself, his children, and Gowri. He ran upstairs as fast as he could, but the house was strangely silent. Too silent. "Gowri!" No answer. "Arjun!" Nothing. He searched every room. Empty. The front door stood wide open. Outside, a trail of bare footprints led away from the house, toward the ancient banyan tree, where everything had first begun. Hariram didn't hesitate. Lantern in one hand, the old pendant in the other, he followed the footprints into the forest. He had spent months searching for answers. Now, the forest was finally ready to give them. But not without demanding one final sacrifice. The forest had never felt this alive. Every gust of wind carried whispers. Not words, just voices. Thousands of them. Hariram tightened his grip on the lantern. The footprints continued through the narrow trail. Fresh, bare, almost glowing beneath the moonlight. The deeper he walked, the darker the forest became. Then, he heard children laughing. His heart nearly stopped. It was Tara's laugh. Impossible. He rushed toward the sound. "Tara!" No answer. Only silence. Then, another laugh. This time, from behind him. He turned. Nothing. Only towering banyan roots twisting like giant snakes across the ground. The forest wasn't trying to guide him. It was trying to confuse him. After nearly an hour, the trees suddenly opened into a circular clearing. At its center stood the ancient banyan. Massive. Older than memory itself. Its hanging roots touched the ground like prison bars. Around it stood 12 weathered stone pillars, arranged in a perfect circle. Each pillar carried faded carvings. Faces, dozens of them, some smiling, some screaming, some with their mouths sewn shut. Harry Ram stepped closer. The wooden pendant around his neck grew warm. Then, one carving opened its eyes. Harry Ram stumbled backward. Another face blinked, then another. Within seconds, every stone face was staring directly at him. Together, they whispered one sentence: "Leave before sunrise." A familiar voice echoed through the clearing. "You came." Harry Ram turned. Gowrie stepped from behind the banyan tree. She looked exactly as she always had. Simple clothes, gentle smile, calm eyes. But something was different. She wasn't breathing. No mist escaped her lips in the cold night air. Harry Ram slowly spoke. "Who are you?" She looked toward the tree. "I don't remember my real name anymore. You lied to me. I lied because I wanted to remember what it felt like to be human." Harry Ram shook his head. "My children." Tears formed in her eyes. "I never touched them." Harry Ram froze. "You expect me to believe that?" "The tree feeds on grief. The more your family suffered, the stronger it became." "Then why did it all begin after you arrived?" She looked down. "Because I brought the tree back to life." Gowrie slowly began telling her story. 80 years ago, there had been another village, another family, another famine. People starved. Neighbors stole from one another. Fear destroyed kindness. One night, villagers blamed a young woman for their suffering. They accused her of witchcraft. Without proof, without mercy. They tied her to the banyan and left her there. She begged for help. Nobody came. 3 days later, she died beneath its branches. But hatred never truly dies. The grief of an innocent soul mixed with centuries of pain buried beneath the tree. Something ancient awakened. Not a ghost, not a demon. Something older. A force that fed on sorrow itself. For decades, it remained trapped, until one lonely man stopped to help an old stranger beside the road. Harry Ram whispered, "The old man." Gowrie nodded. "He was never real. He was only the tree wearing a face." The ground suddenly shook. Roots burst through the earth, wrapping around Harry Ram's legs. The banyan groaned like a living creature. Its trunk slowly split open. Inside, darkness moved. Not shadows. Eyes. Hundreds of glowing eyes, each belonging to someone the tree had claimed. Children, travelers, families, entire generations. A voice echoed from inside the trunk, deep, ancient. "You invited me. I accepted your kindness. Now repay your debt." The roots tightened. Harry Ram could barely breathe. The pendant around his neck began glowing brighter. Gowrie screamed, "The pendant!" Harry Ram remembered the monk, the hidden room, the symbol. It wasn't protection. It was a key. He pressed the pendant against the tree. Nothing happened. The voice laughed. Wrong place. Then Harry Ram noticed the oldest scar on the trunk, perfectly matching the pendant's shape. He pushed it inside. The forest exploded with blinding light. The banyan screamed, not like an animal, like thousands of voices crying at once. Roots cracked, branches shattered. The stone faces began crumbling into dust. One by one, ghostly figures emerged from the tree. Children holding hands, old men, young mothers, travelers carrying lanterns, souls trapped for generations. Each disappeared into the night sky. The forest grew quieter, lighter, warmer. The ancient tree slowly collapsed. As dawn approached, only ashes remained. Harry Ram turned toward Gowrie. She smiled peacefully for the first time. "The tree is gone. You can finally live." Harry Ram stepped toward her. "Come home." She gently shook her head. I was never alive enough to go home. The morning sunlight reached the clearing. Tiny golden particles drifted around her. Her body slowly became transparent. Before disappearing, she whispered, "Tell your children, kindness wasn't your mistake. It was trusting without asking questions." Then, she was gone. Only the wooden pendant remained where she had stood. Today, Devpur is a thriving village. The old forest still exists, but the banyan tree is gone. Children play where no one once dared to walk. The strange deaths ended. The nightmares stopped. Hari Ram raised his remaining children. They grew old, had families of their own. Yet one tradition survived through every generation. Whenever travellers passed through Devpur, they were always offered food, water, and a safe place to rest. But before inviting anyone inside, every elder quietly asked the same question. Tell us your name. Because kindness, without wisdom, can sometimes open doors that should never be opened. Some stories are meant to entertain. Others exist as warnings. Whether you believe in ghosts, ancient curses, or simply the darkness hidden inside human fear, remember this. The most dangerous monsters rarely force their way into our lives. Sometimes we invite them in ourselves. If this story kept you listening until the very end, let me ask you one question. If you had met that old man beside the road, would you have stopped to help him, or would you have kept riding? Sleep well. And if someone calls your name tonight, make sure you know exactly who is speaking.